Hello everyone, before we begin, I would like to mention that I have created a Volans Gaming community Discord. If you go to the link in the description, you will receive an invitation to the Discord. Once you accept, you will be able to talk with me, other fans, and other members of the community. Once again, the link is in the description, and I highly suggest that you guys go check that out. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Volans and welcome back to Metroid Prime. In the last episode, we defeated the Omega Pirate, the epitome of all space pirates, that's been injected with Phazon beyond belief. And remember how I said that in the last episode I was going to show you getting this chozo artifact? Well, I never did end up showing that, so I am going to briefly show it really quick before I cut over to Tallon Overworld, which is where the next leg of our journey begins. So actually, we are beginning Endgame. This is the beginning of Endgame. We're preparing for the final boss. That is basically what we're doing right now. So as you're probably noticing, this is nothing but Phazon right here. And I'm not taking damage. Usually I would take damage from this sort of thing, but I'm not taking damage from this Phazon right now. And that is because with that Phazon suit that we got, we don't take damage from Phazon anymore. So this is actually the location of our next chozo artifact. Now, theoretically, you can obtain this chozo artifact without the Phazon suit. However, you take an extreme amount of damage, and it's relatively difficult, unless you have a ton of energy tanks, to get out of here alive. So I didn't want to risk it, considering I knew I was going to come back for it eventually. So this is one of our chozo artifacts, and I believe, if memory serves, the last chozo artifact in Phazon Mines. The artifact of Newborn, the last of 12. So this is theoretically the last chozo artifact that you're supposed to find. Obviously, it's not the last one that we found, but so now I'm gonna there we go. So now I'm gonna go ahead and cut back to Tallon Overworld, which is the location of the rest of this story. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tallon Overworld. So, I'd like to mention a couple of things. On my journey back from the Phazon Mines, I acquired 2 missile expansions in the Phazon Mines, and then 2 here in Tallon Overworld. So, just that you're aware, in case you're forgetting, once we do cleanup of missile expansions, where these 4 missiles were, why I didn't get them, yet I have 4 missiles, is because I did it just now. So, what we actually need to do is we need to head in this direction over there to that door. That door is going to lead us to something new. And that is where we are going to begin cleanup / endgame, and I just made a very bad jump. So let's get over here. Alrighty, so I've been neglecting to show you and tell you about this location because I haven't really had a need to, but this is the impact crater. So this is where the meteor fell a couple of years back. I actually don't know how long. Could be 100 years or something. I don't really know. This is where the meteor actually fell on Tallon IV. So this is a pirate data log that's pretty important. Field team reports are in on an aged structure of alien design built on the surface of Tallon IV. Studies show that the structure projects a containment field. This field bars access to a prime source of energy within a deep crater. Science team believes the field is powered by a number of strange chozo artifacts. We have found some of these relics and studies on them have begun, as this field could hinder future energy production operations on Tallon IV. We must dismantle it as soon as possible. If this means the destruction of the chozo artifacts, it will be done. So that probably isn't making a heck of a lot of sense to you quite yet. But I think this will explain it, clear it up a little bit more. If this door will ever open. There we go. Got some more chozo lore that we don't really need to read. Alright. Alright, so welcome to the Artifact Temple. Let's grab this. This is a chozo artifact. They give this chozo artifact to you. Chozo artifact acquired, not required. This is the artifact of truth, the first of 12. Collect it, then scan the totems here for clues on the locations of the remaining artifacts. Together, the artifacts will open a path to the center of the impact crater. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more chozo artifacts to acquire. We've acquired half of them. There's 12, we've acquired 6 of them. So, let me step back here and give you a little view of exactly what this place is. It is a very, very beautiful structure built by the chozo quite a few years back. So, you may remember way back in the first episode, I told you that I was going to be explaining the story as I went. Well, I've kind of neglected to do that, so I'm actually going to be trying to explain the story a little bit more. I'm going to explain the whole backstory of this game right now, and trust me, it's going to be an earful. So, we came here after we intercepted a distress signal from space pirate frigate Orpheon, where we uncovered that they were running tests on monsters native to Tallon IV. They were taking these monsters from Tallon IV, and they were bringing them up to the space pirate frigate. Well, we found that the parasite, which became known as the Parasite Queen, was one of the monsters that they were using to test. And once we once we defeated the space, once we defeated the Parasite Queen, she fell into the reactor core of the ship, essentially causing the ship to begin self-destructing. That is the same ship that I mentioned before we explored underwater. I mentioned it briefly when we were going about that whole thing. So, once we uncovered what was roughly happening, we didn't know all of it. We found Ridley on the space pirate frigate, and so we chased him here to Tallon IV. Once we journeyed here to Tallon IV, we uncovered that chozo came here thousands and thousands of years ago, and they made their home here on Tallon IV for a number of years. Unfortunately, the great poison that they speak of was causing them issues. They came here to Tallon IV to get away from technology and to stay away from that, and instead to go more towards like a more natural life. They wanted to live more naturally. They wanted to be more embodied with nature. So they moved here to Tallon IV. Unfortunately, a few years after they arrived and built their civilization here, a meteor, of which we will eventually learn in Metroid Prime 2, I believe, if not for sure Metroid Prime 3, that is known as a Leviathan seed. A meteor crashed here into Tallon IV in this exact location underneath this whole artifact temple. I wish I could show you exactly what it looked like. I can't. But underneath here is a big gigantic meteor crater, also known as the impact crater, where the meteor crashed quite a few years back. Immediately after the meteor crashed, Phazon began to seep into the earth of Tallon IV. It began to corrupt wildlife, it began to corrupt monsters, it began to corrupt the chozo's source of water. So the chozo soon realized that after the meteor crashed into Tallon IV, that their water was beginning to become corrupted. It was starting to become contaminated. And so what they did is they went to go explore what exactly was causing the water to become contaminated. And that's when they ran across Flagra, which was theoretically the second major boss of this game. The one where we had to shoot the satellite dishes. That monster was the reason that the water was so contaminated in Tallon IV. Or in Chozo Ruins, more specifically. And so, we defeated Flagra, and then we journeyed to Phendrana Drifts. So we began to uncover more and more that the space pirates, what they were doing, we learned this once we raided the Space Pirate Research Lab in Phendrana Drifts, that the space pirates were taking monsters native to Tallon IV, and they were bringing them up to the Space Pirate frigate that was in orbit above Tallon IV, and they were injecting them with Phazon. So when they were injecting these monsters with Phazon, they noticed that certain monsters couldn't handle the Phazon, and they died. Others, when they were injected with the Phazon, they became more powerful, and some could just withstand enormous amounts of Phazon. So much Phazon that they became unbelievably powerful, and that's what happened to the Parasite Queen. She became so powerful that she actually killed almost every single space pirate aboard the ship. So, we learned that the space pirates were taking these guys, and they were bringing them up to the Space Pirate frigate, and also in the Phazon mines, and they were injecting them with Phazon to see how powerful they would become. Once we raided the Phazon mines, we uncovered that the space pirates were actually injecting Phazon into their own kind. They were actually injecting Phazon into the space pirates. The space pirates, some of them would die, some of them would survive, some of them would become extremely powerful. The ones that would become extremely powerful became known as the elite pirates, which we have fought previously. The elite pirates are extremely powerful beings. These are space pirates that were capable of withstanding extreme amounts of Phazon injection. The space pirates then began to investigate whether or not they could make a duplicate kind of Samus Aran, or Samus Aran, however you pronounce her last name. I've heard both. And so they began injecting Phazon into the space pirates to give them the Power Beam, Plasma Beam, Ice Beam, and Wave Beam, which you could tell because certain space pirates couldn't be killed but with the color of their body. So the purple space pirates could be killed with the Wave Beam, the white space pirates could be killed with the Ice Beam, the red ones could be killed with the Plasma Beam, and the yellow ones could be killed with the Power Beam. That's because they shot the same projectile that they could be hurt by. But one of the funny things that the space pirates tried doing is they tried actually injecting space pirates with Phazon and try to get them to become Samus or Aran, but with the ability to turn into a morph ball, like, we can. Unfortunately, for the space pirates, they were unable to replicate that. They couldn't actually get the space pirates to go into a morph ball form, and actually all of them died or became extremely psychotic and were forced to be put down. So once we raided the Space Pirate Lab, here is where things get a little different. Theoretically, the space pirates were not able to get into the impact crater because the chozo were preventing them from getting into the impact crater because of this artifact temple. Unfortunately, there was a plot hole in the GameCube versions that said that the space pirates actually got into the impact crater and found what became known as Metroid Prime. It was just a regular Metroid that they injected with so much Phazon that he became unbelievably powerful, and were forced the space pirates to evacuate and leave the impact crater because they couldn't handle the Metroid that becomes known as Metroid Prime. They couldn't inject him with any more Phazon because he was so powerful. And so they let him be. But that can't be possible because the impact crater is blocked off by this artifact temple. So there's like a little plot hole there. So in the Wii version they changed it just a little more random pirate lore. But basically, they officially never got into the impact crater and noticed Metroid Prime existing. Metroid Prime is the final boss of this game. But the space pirates never got a hold of Metroid Prime. So Metroid Prime was injected with Phazon when the meteor landed here in Tallon IV. Metroid Prime became so powerful that it's become like a protector of the Phazon. So the Chozo tried to get rid of the Phazon and the meteor, or the Leviathan seed. Fortunately, they couldn't because of Metroid Prime. They don't really talk about it, but... And so, many of the Chozo began to die because of the corrupt, contaminated water. Actually, eventually, all of them died. But before they all died, if you read the Chozo lore, you would find out that they began to have fortunes and dreams about a hero cloaked in orange that would eventually come and save them. That's Samus Aran. We were eventually supposed to come here and save them. Unfortunately, they all died before we could get here. And that's why we began to fight the Chozo ghosts. They became so contaminated with Phazon after they died that they became ghosts that just began attacking anything in an attempt to save the Chozo ruins so that nobody could damage it. Once all the Chozo died, that's when the space pirates began to show up and investigating the Phazon. So, that was a mouthful. So bosses like Thardus and the Omega Pirate were bosses that were monsters that were injected with Phazon. Thardus, I don't know exactly what he was, but he was injected with Phazon and he became the rock beast that he was. And the Omega Pirate was a space pirate, essentially an elite pirate, to be more specific, that was injected with so much Phazon that he became completely and entirely immune to Phazon. So they began completely and entirely injecting him with Phazon the entire time. There was no break. He was injected with Phazon continuously. That's the Omega Pirate that we fought in the last episode. So, here is where the MacGuffin hunt that I have discussed about earlier comes into play with this artifact temple. We've gathered 6 Chozo artifacts. The 6 Chozo artifacts are what we need to find. The 12 Chozo artifacts are what we need to find. We've already gathered 6 along our journey. There are 6 more that we have yet to get. They gave us this one right here, just so that we knew how to get started. But there's a lot of them that we can't get till endgame, which, now that we're in endgame, we can do it. Once we get all 12 of the Chozo artifacts, we can go down into the impact crater and prepare for our final boss fight. Now you're probably noticing that these birds give hints and clues as to where some of the Chozo artifacts are. You're probably noticing that some of them are a little bit more dim and translucent than something like this. They show that you've already gathered this Chozo artifact. So for example, I'm going to read all of these, and I'm going to read them off to you, just to give you, just to show you, the clues that they give you. So let's start with this one. In one of town's far corners, a grove of life lies. Reveal the pillar beneath the waves to find the artifact of Chozo. So we've already gotten this one. This is the one in the life grove, the same room that we got the X-ray visor. If you remember that, this was a couple episodes back when I was switching back to the stretched out 16:9, and I got the X-ray visor, and I told you that I struggled a couple of times and I had to restart recording because I kept getting interrupted. Yeah, so that was that one. Is that one? That's nothing. Let's read the ones that we've already done. Right here. Whoops. There is a tower within the ruins where light always shines. Move through the waters there to find the artifact of Life Giver. I don't believe we've gotten this one. I don't believe we've gotten the artifact of Light Giver. Let me check. Is it logbook? Artifacts. Oh, I did get Life Giver. There is a tower within the ruins where the light always shines. Move through the waters there to find the artifact of Life Giver. I don't remember that one. Maybe I'll remember it, but... Okay. Here's another one. Within the ruins of our home, we honor our fallen elders in the Great Hall. A chamber beneath the statue holds the artifact of World. I have yet to get this one. This one requires the plasma beam in order to do. If you recall, in the Hall of Elders in the Chozo ruins, it gave us the power beam, the wave beam, it gave us the wave beam, the ice beam, and the plasma beam. What we had to do is we had to hit little holes, and that would unlock a new way that we could go. And the ice beam, I believe, gives us like a missile expansion or an energy tank. The wave beam let us get the ice beam, and the plasma beam is what gets us the artifact of World. Let's read this one. Oops. Let's read this one. The artifact of Wild has been returned. You have restored power to the Chozo totem. The artifact of Strength has been returned. You have restored power to this Chozo totem. Oh, I'm sorry. The ones that glow kind of dimly, you haven't necessarily gotten them yet. It just says that you have. This one, I know where this is at. This one required the double jump. This one is in the room where we got the, I believe this was the power bomb or the wave buster. One of the, I think it was the wave buster. Underneath the water in that room, if you recall. I told you that there was a Chozo artifact we couldn't get yet because we needed the double jump. So we have not gotten that one yet. This one here. Invaders have claimed Phendrana as their own. A tower sits atop their fortress. Collapse it to reveal the chamber where the artifact of Elder is held. So this one is in the Space Pirate Research Center in Phendrana Drifts. Do you remember the room where we fought a bunch of flying pirates, but it was like up on like the second floor, and there was like light. It was like an outside room where we had to fight. If you go up into one of the towers, I may have actually talked about this. If you go up into one of the towers, there's like a glass window that's like frozen over. If you burn that up and melt it, you can actually shoot a tower off in the far distance, and it will destroy the tower, and you could find the artifact of Elder there. It's very far out of the way, and unfortunately, we're going to have to get that one. The artifact of Truth has been returned. Let's see, is there one I haven't found yet? Gotten you. I haven't gotten you. Okay. A tall cave stands at Phendrana's edge. Seek the unseen entrance at its top to find the artifact of Spirit. So this one is the artifact of Spirit is the most notorious artifact of them all. Inside Phendrana's edge, which is literally like a room inside Phendrana, on the very far edge of it, that's why they call it Phendrana's edge, there is a hidden door. There's a hidden door behind a wall that you're supposed to power bomb open, but they don't tell you that you're supposed to power bomb it open. Usually, there's like a little lore, or not a lore, like a scan thing that you can scan. It says this can be broken with Bendesium. Well, actually, this wall doesn't actually tell you that. So you'd be searching in this room forever, trying to find it. The thing about it is, the weird thing about this is that you actually need the X-ray visor in order to find the wall to break down. It's one of the most notorious and most hated artifacts of them all. So let me actually read you some of the other artifacts. The artifact of Truth. Oh, we can't even read the... Oh, well then never mind. Anyway, guys, this is a good stopping point. So, Sorry this episode was kind of boring. I didn't really do much. I got a chozo artifact and I spent like 10-15 minutes blabbing on about the story behind Metroid Prime, the backstory of it all. And we got here to the artifact temple, and I described to you guys how exactly you're supposed to start working on the final boss, and how you're supposed to find all these chozo artifacts. So, in the next episode, we are going to officially begin the cleanup process of Metroid Prime. We're going to be collecting the rest of the chozo artifacts. We're going to be collecting the missiles. We're going to be any missile expansions. We're going to be collecting any power bomb expansions. Any more energy tanks, which I believe we have like 2 or 3. It's going to be about 2 or 3 episodes or so. Oh, it's me. And also the flamethrower, which means I'm going to have to go back to the very beginning of Phase Online. It's not that big of a deal. And the ice spreader. So there's a couple of things that we're going to have to get. So in the next episode, we will officially begin the cleanup process. As for the episode at hand, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and give the video a like and a comment. If you would like to see more of me, go ahead and subscribe. And if you would like to receive notifications and whenever I upload a video, hit the bell icon. Anyway, guys, we'll talk to you in the next episode, so take care.